Okay, here we have our Glendinning setup. It is a two-station twin-engine setup. You see the boxes are labeled here. This is the port box with the red sticker. This is the starboard box with the green sticker here. Both boxes are going to control shifting and throttle. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start by demonstrating how the connections are made between the boxes and the control heads themselves. So the first thing we're going to do is, in this system, you'll notice that the unit is supplied with two power supplies, one for each box. This is DC 12 volts. Okay, so we'll go ahead and plug into the DC power connector for the port box that's here. Okay, and then we'll plug in the DC power 4-pin connector for the starboard box on here. You can see in this setup I have a small power supply that's going to be supplying the 12 volts to this system. Okay, the next thing we're going to want to do is we probably want to run the control head, or the stations, up to the dash. Okay, so you can see we have our first communication cable here. This is going to run up to the main control head, okay, to this port here. Okay, actually it doesn't matter, you can go to either one. So we'll go ahead and connect that to our first box here. In this case I'm connecting it to the starboard box first. I want to make sure that these connections are very tight, because if they're not fully tight they will sometimes give you issues. Okay, so now we have this long cable run to our main control station here. Then we're going to daisy chain to the other control head. This is station ID 2, so you could have this at a flybridge or somewhere else. So we'll take another control station cable, connect it to the same main control station, and daisy chain it. We'll run that all the way up to this. You can see here. This is our second station, and when we're done, if we're not going to daisy chain any more control heads, we'll go ahead and put the terminating resistor on here. So make sure both of these are tight as well. Now that we have those run, we need to connect our actuator boxes together with another communication cable. This is the same type of cable, but you can see it's a lot shorter. So we'll go ahead and start at our starboard actuator box. Connect this in. Okay. We'll connect the other end of this cable to the port box. Okay. Now, since there's only two boxes involved in this particular configuration, we're going to go ahead and terminate the communication on the last station port here on the port box. Okay, we'll go ahead and tighten this on. Okay. Now all of our communications and power is supplied to the boxes. We can go ahead and move to the synchronization control. You're going to have two 12-pin jumpers for this. The first is going to be a very short 12-pin jumper with only one wire coming out of it. And you'll see it has a butt connector on the end here, which I've just used a gator clip to connect it temporarily, not just for demonstration. So we'll go ahead, we're going to put this short 12-pin connector on the starboard box down here. Okay. Now on the port box we're going to have our input-output magnetic pickup converter. This is going to take the signal from our speed sensor or magnetic pickups off of the port and starboard engine, bring those feeds into this box, and the system is going to use that to synchronize the engines to make sure that the RPMs are the same when underway. So we'll connect this to the port box in the same spot, in the same location. Okay. We'll just let that hang there. And all we'll do in this particular setup, so that the box's speed sensors can communicate with each other, is to connect the one from the port box directly to the one from the starboard box. In this case, I'm just going to make a connection with the gator clip, just for demonstration. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to run up our enable harness, and this enable harness is what's going to allow the system to be turned on and turned off with the key switches up at the helm. This is so that the system doesn't stay on all the time and run down the batteries. Okay, this is going to be, this 6-plug connector is going to be plugged into the starboard box. Okay, and it's going to be plugged into the trim tilt port of that box. And this is going to get ran up with the main communication cable for the main control head, because that's pretty much where your key switches are going to be. In this particular setup, we have a white wire and a black wire. Each one of these is going to have a ring terminal on the end of it, and it's going to be connected to the ignition or ACC pole of the key switch for both the port and starboard engines. In this case, for testing purposes here, I'm just going to apply 12 volts to each one of these leads. This will supply 12 volt power to both the boxes and will allow them to be turned on. We'll make this 12 volt connection after we supply power to show you how the system turns on and off. Let's go ahead and do that now. Let's turn on our power supply. And we're supplying 12 volts to the system. You can see that I've made all the connections here already to the red and yellow. Obviously yellow is ground, your red is DC positive. Let's go ahead and apply 12 volts to this enable harness here and see if we can get the system to light up. Okay, you can see here on our main control station we have 4 red lights. Those 4 red lights mean the system is enabled and is working as expected. If there were any sort of alarms, these lights would all be blinking in unison. Okay, so you notice here on our main station, we're going to go ahead and test the system by applying throttle to the starboard engine. You can see here on this box that the throttle is actually moving. Now the reason the gear is not engaging is because we're in warm mode. So this allows you to operate the throttle without engaging the gear at the dock. If we want to take that off, we'll press the warm sync button. You'll notice that light goes off, and now we'll expect both levers to move. There's our gear shift forward, and there's throttle. Full throttle forward, and throttle reverse. There's reverse, full throttle. Okay. Next thing we want to test is to take control of the second station. So we'll grab our second station control head. You can see these lights are blinking, which means it's inoperative. We'll click the active button. They blink fast. Click it again. We've now taken control. See that everything is working. Let's test the port. The port is also working. Alright. There you have it.